Hello and welcome once again to Mema's Misadventures in D&D. I am Misadventures, and today, if the title didn't tell you, this is the TPK episode. The party got a TPK, and we're going to go a little bit by bit as to why that happened, what they could have done to avoid it, and where we're going from here. So, when last we left off, the party had just finished having dinner with Strahd, and two of the players actually went into a deal with Strahd to help him get Irina in exchange for getting rid of their hag curses. So, to do this, they were planning to go to Van Richten's tower and basically trick him into handing Irina over to them, in which case they would hand her over to Strahd. On the way over there, as a good adventuring party, they decided to explore a little bit, see the city, see what it has to offer. And they saw this nice little house on the hill, Oregon Volstadt, and they wanted to explore it just to get some mad loots. So, they all go in. These two characters start heading this way. These two characters start to head this way. This character opens the door. I describe the scene. Tell her there is an incountable amount of giant spiders in here. These are rats, but I can't find any spiders, so just theater of the mind for this. And she's like, nope, I don't want to do that. This character, the guy who's played D&D a lot, was like, oh fuck, did someone say combat? Leroy! So now I have everybody roll for initiative so we can do this like you're supposed to. This character goes first. She explores up a little bit, sees that this door is just connected again to this, like, nope, I do not want to deal with no spiders. These two go into here. This is a mostly empty room. However, when they enter, there is scripted that there's a fireplace in here. I think it's this thing right here. And it's supposed to spout out this giant flaming dragon. And it's supposed to be like, ooh, what's that? And then on initiative round 10, it's supposed to give them a warning like, hey, my knights, the Knights of the Silver Order, have fallen to darkness. I need you to help them. However, if they just decide to attack it, it just basically explodes for fireball damage. Guess what they did? That's right, they just attacked it, and these two took a whole bunch of damage that they probably shouldn't have. Afterwards, they're like, oh, let's go out. Oh, there's some fight over here. Let's go this way. And, nope, that was wrong. This one said that. This one decides to keep exploring for some reason. This is the murder hobo. This is the murder hobo to end all the murder hobos. So yeah, he keeps exploring. And this combat goes in for a little while. It starts getting a little hairy because 9 giant spiders probably would not be all that difficult for this party to handle. However, for half the party and one person who cannot perform killing blows, it's a fight. So, continuing on, this person just keeps saying fuck off. I don't care. I'm going to explore this kitchen area. This door is open. What do I see? You see 3 figures in suits of armor that are just sitting there praying at the end of this chapel. And, spoiler alert, this character is actually a revenant. So I had, played it off. Oregon Volstadt is just completely inhabited by pretty much revenants. So I, did the story as if, oh, back in your old life, you used to fight alongside these guys a little bit while they were trying to stop Strahd's invasion of what would be called Barovia. You fought alongside them, and you knew they were good, honest, just good paladins, good people. So she sees that they're in here and like, oh, do I recognize that armor? Yes. Is it the armor of the Silver Dragon? Yes. It's like, okay, I get the feeling I shouldn't do this, but I'm probably going. But I think my character would. I'm like, I'm going to stop you right there. And we're going to go over to this dude. He goes in here. And in here, there's just help a wounded person who's supposed to like be a little helper for them, give them some information, maybe a little quest reward, all that fun stuff. But no, he's just like, oh, fresh blood. I'm going to kill it. Not realizing that he, or at least, or forgetting that he can't perform the killing blow on any creature. So it's like, I don't know what he's planning on doing. So he attacks and he just fumbles. He has the worst dice rolls and he fails. So we go back over here. It's getting really it's getting really hard because there's like 5 people in melee range of these people. The others are shooting webs. And I think they managed to web both of them at this point. And in case you don't know what the web does, is it entangles, it restrains the characters. What happens when you're restrained? Well, good of you to ask that. First, their movement is reduced to 0. Second, all their physical attacks are all their attack rolls are at disadvantage. That's not the best. But I mean, giant spiders don't have a whole lot of AC. That's probably fine. Also, all attacks against them are at advantage. And with 9 creatures, that's a lot of rolls. So things are very much going from bad to worse. And this character decides to go, hey, but at least this character, who is a priest, has like, I think it's spiritual weapon or spiritual guardian, something like that. And it is doing very decent damage to all the creatures that are in range. So that's a ray of light. This character decides to then go into this room and like, hey guys, remember me? We used to fight together. And they all turn. And I'm like, you recognize that they are Orders of the Silver Knight. You also recognize that they have become revenants. And they just see you and are filled with hate. And she's like, oh, fuck. I'm going to use the rest of my action to get out of here and finally get into this combat mess. And then I have to add these 3 revenants into my app. And that's when I find out that my app that I use for encounters seems to have a soft cap to 14 characters. So that stops me for like 20 minutes. It messes everything up. Had to go old school, pen and paper, whatever. We got there eventually, and they start following her. Meanwhile, this guy, I had forgot in like a previous in game that I actually gave him an out. In that I had ruled that if you try to deal damage with a ranged attack, because of the way that works, the way it would work in context in universe, I would say, you know what? You can perform killing blows with a ranged attack because you don't know if the attack's going to damage until after it's shot. So, yeah, go ahead. So he does shoot this person, kills him, and starts drinking his blood. I would also like to point out that this is the first session that this character's wife actually decided to stop by and just kind of watch this play. She wasn't really watching this play. She was playing fucking Fortnite on the Switch, but still, when she heard that he was just like killing random people, like, what the hell is wrong with you? Why don't you save the person? He's like, shut up. This is what the character would do. It's like, oh my God, I can't believe I married you. I'm like, yeah, he's like this every scenario. How's the home life? Don't ask. Fine. And then this cluster just keeps getting worse and worse. These 3 come in and start going to town on this character. And there are like 12 enemies right here, which either of these encounters by themselves, I'm pretty sure the party would handle it with a little challenge, especially the 3 Revenant fight, but I'm pretty sure confident the party would handle these encounters handily. Together though, it proves too much. First, this character takes just a hell of a lot of damage because the Revenants are not like your normal Revenants. They don't do the normal Revenant attack of just a fist weapon, which is 2d6 plus 4. No. They have long swords, so it's 2d10 plus 4. Okay, so this character takes a shit ton of damage. At least between these two, this guy's spiritual weapons or spiritual guardians and his just damage output, they are going through the rats fairly quickly. Not the rats, the spiders. However, there are a few, especially the ones at the range, who are still alive. He finally comes out and is like, oh, I should probably help. And he starts going to work onto these. This character gets knocked down. Then they split up into these. Now, as I said before, they still have a couple in melee range and a couple spiders at range. Because they keep trying to undo the restraint, which they can do as an action, like a strength check or a melee attack. They keep trying to get out, but these things keep putting it back in. Which, against the spiders, their damage output was not that great. But when they're restrained and the revenants come in with their 2d10s plus 4, and they have multi-attack, so it's 2 attacks a turn, and because they're restrained, it gets advantage. Even this dude who has like a 21 AC, their health just starts to melt. And eventually, everybody gets knocked out. They do try a little bit by like throwing potions around and shit. I was even like, hey, can we do like in Baldur's Gate where I can just take this healing potion and just chuck it at a person and that counts as a healing? And I'm like, you know what? Sure, but it's going to be like an athletics check, and I'll make it really low. It'll be like a 5. Dude rolled a 2 with his athletics modifier of 2, so he got a 4. So I'm like, okay, that's 1 healing potion gone, and that's your bonus action. I was like, fuck. And that eventually led to the party wipe, which, unfortunately, now then, I'm sure some of you might say, hey, Mema, if they made a deal with Strahd's probably keeping a closer eye on them. Why not have Strahd come in and help them out a little bit? Also, for people who read The Curse of Strahd, the campaign guide, there is a potential encounter you can run in here in which Esmeralda, Rictavio's apprentice who has better stats than Rictavio, tell me how that makes sense, can also come in and help the characters. You could have done either of those to make it a little bit easier for your players. And I'm like, I could have, but like in the Death House, what happened in the Death House? They split the party. It almost caused a party wipe on 2 times, and then they say, okay, we're never splitting the party again. Then what happens in a fight in the Barovia Chapel, in which they're fighting a vampire spawn fairly early in the game? They split the party, they almost die, and they go, okay, we're never splitting the party again. And then what happens in Vallaki? When they first go on the little quest to the Vistani camp, they split the party, they fight a Chimera, almost half party wipe, and they say, okay, we're never going to do that again. But I needed to teach these people, because this is now going to be basically a weekly campaign with these people. Well, not a weekly campaign, but a weekly D&D session. You know how it is. Like, I need to teach them, don't split the party. So, yes, the party died, and that is actually where we ended the campaign, because I'm sure a better DM could, like, make 4 new characters and pick up right where they left off, but I can't think of it. Irina, the main quest line for the entire thing is with Rictavio in his special tower, which is magically enchanted. It's really hard to find that thing unless you know where to look for it. And now that Rictavio's kind of in the tower with her, he doesn't really have a whole lot of incentive to leave, except to maybe do covert strikes against Strahd. He's going to be more focused on getting Irina out of the lands of Barovia so that Strahd can be trapped in here forever with literally no hope and just have him fuck off for all eternity. So, yeah, that was where that campaign ended. And afterwards, everyone was telling me what they had plans, and let me tell you, I have never wanted to retcon a TPK more in my entire life, because unbeknownst to me, the party had split into 2 factions. There were the 2 murder hobo factions. These were the 2 who were trying to make the deal with Strahd to get rid of their head curse. And then there were these two who didn't really like, who are role playing that they don't like Strahd, they want Strahd dead, or at the very least, they don't want to help him. Which is one of the main reasons why they left early at the dinner. They heard them talking to Strahd, trying to get all goody-goody. And they're like, okay, you know what, fuck it, we're just going. So, we'll call them Team Goody Two-Shoes. This team had planned on, when they got to Van Richten's tower, they were going to tell Van Richten, hey, these two fuckers, they're planning shit with Strahd. We don't trust them as far as they control them. They're going to do something in the arena. We need to stop them now. So they were going to plan to do a PvP encounter in Rictavio's tower as soon as they got there, because they didn't think they had the damage output to take these two on, even with their hag curses. But it's like, with Rictavio, who was a strong, capable vampire hunter, they figured, you know what, they had a chance. And unbeknownst to them, Esmeralda, his apprentice, would also have been there, which would have stacked the odds even more in their favor. So, and these two were not only planning to work with Strahd to get rid of the hag curse, they were planning to work with Strahd for the rest of the campaign. And when they eventually got to, when they eventually got to the final encounter, they were just going to turn to Strahd like, hey, buddy, we're on your side. Okay? You be good with us. We'll help take these down, and we're good, right? And so, two different PvP scenarios in the works. One that was going to happen in like a session. It's like, oh. But, yeah. Hopefully this has taught them the lesson to never split the party, especially in a dungeon. Like, if you're in a city and doing during a merchant run, yeah, who cares? Split the party all you want, it's fine. But in combat, in a dungeon, don't pull the entire floor to attack. Anyway, that's it for this campaign. The next campaign is going to be run by this character. It is, we are going to be running through the Spelljammers campaign. I am going to be playing a Warforged who likes to cook and eat. So, depending on how crazy that campaign goes, I might make it into a Mema's Misadventure. And since I plan on telling these people now that I am making this series about them, these two are probably going to go even more off the walls. So, I will see you later in Mema's Misadventures and Spelljammers. Take care, bye.